Hello, everyone. Welcome. It's Amy Haskell with Total Writing Enrichment. And today I wanted to touch upon a topic regarding college admissions and juniors and upcoming college applications that I feel as a former teacher is really important. And so many students, they don't want to think about this. So many students are only thinking of SAT, ACT, and right now I know spring sports are starting. But what I'm about to share with you, I've actually shared fairly recently, and this is with a college consultant friend of mine. And I think it is one of these top criteria that colleges will really look upon now that there's so much talk about grade inflation, and our college is looking at test scores. And now, yes, they are, and some still are remaining test optional, committed to, a 3-year experiment. So what I'm about to say to you today, I'm actually going to teach. So this might go a little bit longer than I usually am on these lives. And so the topic I'm going to talk about today that I think can really help boost a senior's college applications is that of the teacher letter of recommendation. So what is a teacher letter of recommendation? How can it help you get into college? What is the best way to go about asking your teacher so that this piece of your college application really helps augment and really boosts your overall application score? A lot of these colleges will give you a score. And again, this is one of those areas that a lot of juniors right now, they would grasp the importance of it. They would really benefit when it comes down to submitting their application in the fall. So if there's one thing that I've learned about teaching, hundreds and hundreds of teens and having 4 teenagers of my own is the concept of time. And so I know these applications are not due until October, but the end of junior year is upon us. So I think the 3 main topics I'm going to talk about are, number 1, what is the best way to ask your teacher? Number 2, what should be included in that ask? And number 3, I'm actually going to read to you a letter of recommendation that I use, and of course I'm not going to use the student's name or anything like that. And actually, excuse me for 1 second. Here we go. Trying to multitask. Okay. So, how can a teacher letter of recommendation help you get into college? Well, first of all, a teacher letter of recommendation can show your personality, can show a unique side of you that really nowhere else. And yes, I know the essays, and I'm all about the college admissions essays, but it's almost like when a small business gets a testimonial from someone else. It's just so much stronger than the small business owner saying like, oh, I'm so great because of this reason. It's the teacher, a trusted professional, telling the college about your unique capabilities. So clearly the teacher recommendations can help show a wonderful personal side of you. It can highlight, you. I know a lot of parents watching this. It's not like the college kids are watching this. It can highlight your strengths and achievements. And really differentiate the student because of the student's performance in the class. So I think from an English teacher point of view, and I have this from these like old notes of mine, it's what is the purpose of the teacher recommendation? If you have an English teacher personally vouching for a student's critical thinking skills, writing skills, positive attitude, ability to relate the text to our lives today. If you have a teacher vouching for the student, I think it connects the college to the student in really no way other than perhaps the essay. So specifically, and if you're watching this on the replay, here's some great things to take notes, and I'll try to capture some of this when I go back in and post some comments. So what desirable qualities are colleges looking for in candidates, especially, when you're thinking of like English teachers? Well, of course, verbal skills, like reading, writing, speaking, the ability to think on your feet, right? Perhaps your English teacher poses a question, you want to, contribute, raise your hand. As a side note, I know a lot of that is not happening in a lot of English classes today, which really breaks my heart, which is why a lot of parents want to sign their kids up with Total Writing Enrichment so we can push those critical thinking skills, discuss the text, pose questions. Of course, performance. It's that teacher talking about how and where the students stood. They probably, if you're asking your English teacher or math teacher, most likely your student did well in that class. So I think it is really admirable when the teacher can talk about that and that level of performance. Also, like leadership skills in the class. Can the teacher talk about leadership skills, organizational skills, especially, here's a really great one. I think that a lot of college applications miss, but it's, personal situations explaining the performance. So for example, was there a project going on in English class? Was there, acting out the play, and how well did that student perform? What personal attributes or characteristics did they bring? Did they bring to that project? That's perfect for a letter of recommendation. Of course, maturity level, breadth of experience. And these are all things, which brings me to my second point. So when students go and approach a teacher to ask them to write their letter of recommendation, which they want to do towards the end of this semester, not wait until the beginning of the fall, right, is to bring a list, is to say, hey, Ms. Haskell, here's the overall strategy with which I want to approach my college applications. So I love helping people. I also love math. What I want you to do is please help highlight my leadership skills, my service skills. So when you ask the teacher, you want to tell them the reasons you're asking them. Like, Ms. Haskell, I really love the challenge, in my junior year English class that you post every day with specific arguable discussion questions. Or, Ms. Haskell, I was so frustrated by you asking us to annotate the text, but now I see how I could not have reached a deeper level of understanding about the Odyssey or about Macbeth if it wasn't for those annotation, requirements. So why are you, student? What is the reason that you're going to that specific teacher? And what can that teacher say about you? And then to guide them to say, this is my overall strategy for my college application. This is what I want the colleges to know about me. And then give them specific details. Tell them what you want them to say about you in your letter of recommendation. And so I was going to go ahead and read, a former letter of recommendation. This is literally from over 10 years ago. And so I think this is helpful. So parents, if you're listening to this on the replay, I think this is really interesting and helpful for your students to hear, like, what do colleges do with letters of recommendation and how this can really help if your student is, in that middle stack. And so many of our students are, right? They're going for the gold. They have their safety colleges, but they really want to get into these elite colleges. How the letter of recommendation. This is not the student saying, this is why I'm so great. This is a trained professional. So to be incredibly strategic. And again, if you're hopping on now, I'm going to summarize in the comments later the points I've already made. I think this is missed. I think this is an area so many students can take advantage of to help them get into college. It's through just a rock star teacher letter of recommendation. But you need to be strategic about who you're asking and go talk to your teacher when you have time, not rushing in there, not throwing at them, this, half-brained email. But here's an example of a letter of recommendation that I wrote really long time ago. I mean, I think the student is absolutely even out of college, for sure. Yeah, I think based on the date here. So, dear admissions committee, it is with great pleasure that I write to you on behalf of my former student, and then this former student's name. The student was in my class during the school year in, English, junior English, American English, which was a course I taught, based on American literature. This honors level course challenges students to examine works such as The Scarlet Letter, Walden, Civil Disobedience, Into the Wild, The Great Gatsby, The Grapes of Wrath, The Song of Solomon from a historical and literary perspective. So there's a little bit about the course, right? And then here is what I wanted to share with you. Probably the most telling piece of information that I can share with your admissions committee regarding the student has to do with his willingness to improve as a writer. While the student consistently put in a solid effort when it came to his writing assignments, He came to me one day admitting he was having some trouble focusing the scope of his research paper with this specific literary work, Mark Twain's Life on the Mississippi. After that initial conversation, the student made a point of setting aside time to come to my office to brainstorm ideas for his paper, organize his thoughts, and revise his writing. So, do you see what the teacher did there? Took a really specific example of how the student demonstrated personal growth, how the student took action to improve his situation, right? I mean, how many students out there just complain, oh, this teacher's so hard, such a difficult grader. But this student is showing, and the teacher's writing about it, right? The steps that they took to improve their situation, to get better at writing. I was pleased to see the student so invested in improving his writing and willing to take personal responsibility to better himself. While the student is the kind of student who's fairly quiet during full class discussions, it was always fun to watch him interact with his peers in small group situations. My history teaching partner and I could place a student in a group with any combination of students and personalities, and he consistently stayed on task. Aren't these great qualities for the college to hear about? And worked well with every one of his classmates. The student's easygoing and cheerful ways made him a favorite among his classmates. Based on both his willingness to improve himself and his positive attitude, I enthusiastically recommend the student to your admissions committee. Very sincerely, Amy Haskell. And so again, I feel this letter of recommendation has enormous, wonderful power to elevate your students' college application, to help them get into college. And it's really fun from a teacher's point of view to know what to write, to know where the student wants to go into college. So right now, parents, I urge you to guide your teens. And if you want more information, message me here on LinkedIn, message me here on YouTube, message me here on Facebook. It's streaming out to all of these, right? I wish I could figure out how to do this on Instagram. And I'm happy to share with you these more specific points. But now is the time for juniors to nurture these relationships, for them to really think who they want to ask. Some students need more than one letter of recommendation. And of course, they can ask coaches. It just depends on what their colleges want. So if you've hung in with me here until the end, I wanted to welcome you all to a free webinar that I'm giving this Thursday night, so March 21st at 7 p.m. I'll drop the link to register with two of my favorite college consultant friends, Kelly Barnhart and Ryan Clark of Clark College Consulting. And we are going to share the best of what juniors can be doing right now to get into college and to make the entire college application process so much easier. Of course, right now, juniors, coming from a teacher's point of view, your focus is to get the best grades you can, to really kick it in, right? It's like the final 200 or 100 yards in the mile race, right? 4 laps on the track. You can do this. But as far as, please join us. It'll be so much fun. Free webinar. You're going to walk away with a ton of to-dos. You're going to walk away being much better informed with how to navigate your upcoming college application. It's not just me, the writing girl here, the writing lady. I will have 2 fabulous guests with me. So please join us this Thursday, 7 p.m. You do need to register, and so I'll drop the registration link in here. And if you are watching this on the replay and you have any questions, please feel free to post a comment. I do see it better if you tag Total Writing Enrichment or even Amy Gordon Haskell, or by all means, send me a private message. So thank you so much for joining me today, and I will hop back on tomorrow, actually, with another topic. Alrighty, bye for now.